I'm Lisa Cox. I'm a Sheffield Community Health Champion as part of Altogether Better. Altogether Better was funded by Big Lottery to deliver the programme of Health Champions. It's a regional project, so I was one of the volunteers from Sheffield. Back before I became a health champion, I was living in Canada, and I returned back to England after 10 years, of being a nanny, and I bumped into my abuser, at which point I started with a huge breakdown. I started self-harming. I didn't know which way I was going, whether I was going down or heading in some other direction, or whether it would be jail, who knows. So I went to Gleagles Valley Forum, which was a local community-based organisation who do various things, whether it's learning for adults or whether it's confident building courses. They do projects around working with the elderly and youth works as well. One of the learning champions asked me about doing a confidence building course. She must have seen my bandages from my self-harming, and I went onto this course. From this course we noticed that there was a lot of other people that needed some support. So we started a group called the TGI Friday Group, and it was around women who were going through a rough time, whether it was divorce or marriage breakup, self-harming, even to losing a loved one. In between me doing this course and starting up the group, I was on a waiting list for a year for counselling. So there's me, self-harming every day, and nobody to get the stuff off of my chest that I needed to. So my doctor, who was great and still is great, she saw me every other day. Then it went to, we kind of figured it out from every other day to every third day. If I didn't need to see her or if I didn't need to speak to her, then I could call and cancel my appointment. A gentleman came to Gleagles Valley Forum called Nigel West, who was the Sheffield contract holder for the Altogether Better Champions. Asked if there were any scope for recruiting champions. I hadn't started volunteering there yet, but from this I ended up volunteering as a health champion. So things went quite from being down here to slowly, gradually improving. I ended up being a health champion for 2.5 years, and then I got a job at the Forum as the events business planner, and we carried on with the group on Fridays, and that ran for 4 years, and then it ended because we was getting no more referrals. People had gone back into work, they'd gone either carried on doing some education to improve the lifestyle, or they were happy at home and they felt that they didn't need it. I'd got my job, I'd come off of benefits and I'd got my job, so that was a bonus for me. And then the contract ended at the Forum after a year, and I ended up volunteering with Sheffield Cubed for 2 months. That's the company that had the contract for the Altogether Better Champions. So I ended up volunteering for them for 2 months. Then a job came up to coordinate the Community Health Champions project, and that's what I do now. So 3 years on, I'm now coordinating the Sheffield Community Health Champions, as well as some of the other health champion projects that are coming up. About 6 months into my job coordinating the health champions, I actually got a phone call and a letter through the post saying, okay, your waiting time's over, you can now do counselling if you need to. So my reply was, well, thanks very much, but no thank you, I don't need it. We are running a group. If you want to refer any of your waiting list to me, then we can give them support until they actually get counselling. Sheffield have been one of the most successful Altogether Better cities for health champions. We've had, I think in counting now, we've had about 450 community health champions. 75 of them I know have gone into paid work. I think it's about working together. Patients can't lead the NHS. The NHS need to listen to the patients. I know from the TGI Friday group, myself and a colleague from Altogether Better actually sat down and tried to figure out exactly how much money that the TGI Friday group had actually saved the NHS. And I think it ended up in its hundreds of thousands, where I think it's around £75 per counselling session, and my GP working with me to see me every other day for that little bit of time during that appointment, just to get the main important things off of my chest. That really helped. The NHS did actually work for me. It looked as if it wasn't going to, because when you've got somebody who's self-harming every day and is not aware of how deep she's going, then to say that there's a 1.5 year waiting list for counselling, it's a bit of a shock. Me being able to have that relationship, patient-doctor relationship with my doctor, was really what worked for me. My dad wanted to have me sectioned, which was at that worst point in my life where I was like, you can't do that to me. And luckily for me, my doctor turned around to my dad and said, Lisa doesn't need sectioning. We can work with Lisa. We can get her out of this. It's just a glitch. And that was it for me. That was like the turning point where I knew I was going to be okay. My experience with is it the NHS? It is the NHS. I had a positive one. I know lots of people who have had negative stories with the NHS, and they've had to do things themselves within the community, and that's where being a health champion comes. It was a project that was set up to improve the volunteers' lifestyle. Well, does it work? Yeah. How do you know it works? Because I'm sat here talking now. Slowly but surely we are working with the professionals, and I think that's what it's about. It's about volunteers working with the professionals, but the professionals knowing that we're not trying to step on their toes. We're trying to cut that in-between time where a doctor has 10 minutes for an appointment with each patient, and the patient doesn't get everything out within that, or they're sat there wondering, what do we do? How can we do it? And they've forgotten everything that they need to speak to the doctor about. So why can't we have a volunteer health champion in the surgery with a sheet that's got some questions? Get the most out of your appointment. Use it, fill it in. It works. And it also helps the doctor to get the best out of their appointment with that one patient as well.